People think that as you age, that your memory decreases or your ability to remember things gets worse. But is that true, or can you actually learn to memorize?
We're the happy headers, and Paul, I definitely think that we can still have the ability to use our brains. Just because we're getting older doesn't mean that we don't have the ability anymore to expand the old memory.
We're not losing the ability.
I don't think so. But that, I suppose when you get extremely old, there are dementia and different things.
But Siobhan, it's like any muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it.
You lose it. Yeah, my husband says that all the time.
And a lot of people,
actually.
you see, when you're younger, you tend to be involved in education and a lot
Yeah.
of other stuff. And as you age, you don't need as much education, apparently.
Feckin' poems. Oh my God. Learn them off by heart.
Stop it, I'm a poet.
No, sorry, Paul.
One of the things that I'm doing currently is I'm learning how to speak French.
Oh yeah.
And one of the reasons is because it helps stave off mental deterioration as you get older.
Oh,
you
really?
challenge your brain. It's like activity. It's like a gym for your brain. You're challenging your brain to learn an entire new language, and it gives you an entire new perspective on the world and culture, and French culture in particular.
Wow.
So it's exercise for the brain.
Yeah.
And so research has shown that anybody of any age, if you learn a second language, it really looks after your brain.
Wow, that's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can imagine how that would work actually, because it is really like exercising that part of your body that and memory is a good part of it, I suppose, really, isn't it?
It is, because I've studied memory, and I would say that if left to my own devices, if I didn't do anything, I would say that I have a terrible memory. Even on some of these videos, I'm kind of going, oh, it's that word, the something.
I forget.
And I find that I can have a terrifically good memory, but I have to really work on it.
Yeah. It depends on what it is then as well, doesn't it, that you have to remember. Like, I never forget a client.
Right.
Like,
a name of a client.
Oh, I'd forget the name.
Would you?
Yeah, the name would be gone.
But if someone walks in your door, you remember what
the minute I see their face, it's like a filing cabinet comes out of my head with their entire story.
Right.
I remember intrinsic details about things that they told me.
Is that because you're a woman?
Listened. No.
When women listen.
No, you're a therapist too, though, and you fucking listen. So
See, I tend to not memorize a lot of facts about clients. Certain details will stick in my head.
Certain details, yeah, not everything.
But I find I put all of that in Dropbox because I don't need to clog up my head with it. Even though science would suggest that there isn't a kind of a finite limit really to the amount of stuff that your mind can remember.
Yeah.
I heard a stat yesterday, it was like something like 32 million movies on Netflix is like the current brain capacity. I don't know how to measure that.
Oh yeah, Earl Nightingale had something in his book, Lead the Field, about that piece of research that was done about the brain and what you can remember, and also like how much power is in our body. We're worth something like $3 billion or something back in the 60s.
You've reminded me of something else there. That memory isn't just got to do with the brain, your body, cellular memory. Your body. Oh yeah. Your body remembers movement. It remembers.
The body keeps the score. Actually, it's a great book for that.
It does. And like if you walk past a place, say if there was a place where you fell off a horse, you did, and broke something. Sometimes your body will recreate similar feelings when you walk past it again, and that's your body's cellular memory kicking off.
Yeah.
But I use a lot of crazy imagery to remember things. Like in a video last week, we were talking about fear of long words. And there's a massive big long word for it, and I'm just going to upload it again in my mind because it's something like hippopotomonstrosus equiptophobia.
Fucking hell.
And to remember all of that, I have to visualize strange things. If you visualize something normal, they're forgettable. Yeah. So I imagine a hippopotamus, that's the first part.
I was thinking
coming out of a big mucky, swampy thing. And it's a monstrosus, it has to be big, fat, heavy. Monstrosus. And then the next part I think of equipment that it might have for calling itself out. And I dropped the E and it's just crypto. I remember a friend of mine called Del, and I changed it to Della, cryptodella, and then phobia at the end of it.
Oh my God.
So of all of these things lined up, and the reason why I'm saying it so slowly is because I just uploaded this to my mind last week and I haven't used it since. But when I'm learning French and I hear a word that I'm not familiar with, my mind tries to match it to what I already know, and I notice what the first connection is. And when I do plays, when I'm acting, and I need to memorize a lot of scripts, I will notice what the sentence says, and I'll notice what imagery automatically pops into my head. And then I'll use that and I'll create a journey, maybe putting those images along a journey, along a pathway.
Savage.
And I can have huge amounts of data and information in my head, like even some different towns I've been in. Even now when I revisit a town, I see bits of dialogue all over the street. It's like
oh, my friend actually,
virtual reality.
Was a news reporter, Kieran Malooly, amazing guy. Does so much good work in the community and everything. But when he was reporting for the RTE News here in Ireland, every town we go through, he remembers the story of where someone was murdered, or there was a really bad storm and the banks flooded everyone's houses, because he was reporting on all these things. So the story stays with him in the town. Yeah. A teacher of mine, just when you were talking about French, actually popped into my head. She used to use similes like that as well, and I'll never forget the word for wardrobe, because she said it's like an arm war. All the arms of the clothing are coming out and they're all fighting.
Something that's unforgettable.
And I'll never forget it.
It's
brilliant.
Or did you learn in school Richard of York at battle in vain for the colours of the rainbow?
No.
Red, orange, yellow, blue, green, blue, indigo and violet. 7 of them in there anyway. So Richard of York, the first letter of every word represents a colour of the rainbow.
Or red, orange, yellow.
Green, blue, indigo and violet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
So,
I love it.
Yeah, so you can train your mind. And then the other thing, if you haven't come across it before, look it up. It's Tony Buzan and mind maps.
Oh, mind maps are brilliant.
Mind maps are brilliant because when I'm working with people who are doing exams or studying for something, I'll get them to do mind maps, because a lot of the material that we absorb into our minds is written in text, and you start, in Western society, you start at the top left and you go across. And the mind doesn't work like that. Like when I am remembering something, I literally see them all out around the place. This is why I'm so excited about the Apple goggle thing.
Oh yeah.
Because it incorporates that. You can see things that you've left all over the place. Yeah. My mind is like that anyways. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting one of those Vision Pro things whenever
so cool.
they become available.
Remember when we used to see it in the films, like where you can make things bigger, make them smaller, and then swipe things away, and it's all in front of you, like so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you increase your ability to remember things, it's very, very good, because you can challenge yourself. You can have games with yourself to see. Like one I stayed in Italy for a week years back, and I was studying a different way to memorize things, because I've studied lots of memory courses, and I amalgamate them all, so I can make my own unique system. And I'm not saying I spent the entire week doing this, but over the course of the week, I memorized an entire magazine.
Wow.
Everything on every page, all the words.
You had a lot of time on your hands, Paul.
But I didn't need a lot of time, Siobhan, that's what I'm saying. I would sit down in the morning, maybe for 10 minutes with a cup of coffee, and kind of go, I've created imagery for that, where everything is in the page, and then I'll go off for a walk. Later I might do another 10 minutes. It's not a big chore to do when you have a system. Yeah. You can remember anything. And a lot of the plays that I worked on, some of them were set in maybe the 1800s, where language was different, it was archaic, and it's language that you wouldn't naturally use, it wouldn't be free-flowing, and I had a lot of struggles putting together imagery to connect that. One of the words that I came across in French recently, when I'm explaining to people why I do this, I said that it works pretty well, but some words, like if I ask you to create a visual image that goes with the word some. So some pies, some clothes, something. What visual imagery pops into your head?
Well, the first thing that came into my head was a maths sum.
Sum.
Yeah, like a...
arithmetic.
Mathematics.
Right.
Like, a sum.
Yeah.
Of numbers.
Yeah.
Like, that's the first thing
I'm thinking of the Battle of the Somme.
No.
It's the nearest thing that pops into my head straight away.
Did you like history in school then?
A little bit, yes. Yeah. So the word for sum in French is on. So I think of it like no man's land between the trenches. There's big kind of an E and an N just there sitting in the muck.
Oh my God.
So whenever I need to remember the word Somme in French, my mind automatically goes to the Battle of Somme this big mucky EN.
Right.
So it's mad stuff.
For me, it'll be a plus sign.
Other people can just remember things. Other people have photographic memory. And they just remember things.
Isn't that incredible?
It is.
Did you see the guy in the Late Late Show years ago, and he could memorise an entire book. He knew, exactly what page, paragraph.
Yeah. Your man, Tom Cruise.
Rain Man.
Yes.
Unreal.
And the two hemispheres of his brain are actually merged together. He hasn't really got two separate hemispheres at all.
Way.
And that's one of the reasons why he remembers every single thing he's ever read, every book.
Wow, it's incredible.
But the disadvantage is that I think the guy can't tie his shoelaces.
Oh, right.
So you can have extreme, savants is the other thing, people who can just look at something. There's several examples of savants. One guy who looked, it was a scene in Italy where he's just looking at a hotel window, you can see the whole city and everything, and then he'll just draw the whole thing then from memory.
Wow,
every window,
I've seen that
everything.
Let us know if there's anybody viewing us actually that can do that, or knowing somebody. It would be amazing to hear your story in the comments.
Yeah. So in summary, memory can be worked on and improved. It's not something that it is something that does deteriorate if you don't look after it, but it's not like anything else. Like every muscle in the body, you can train your mind to remember things and have a bit of fun with it.
Absolutely.
You have to be serious.
There's loads of really famous people like Bob Proctor as well, who worked well into his 80s before he passed away and had an excellent memory, so it can be done.
There was a school teacher in the locality where I grew up. He lived to be 104. I think he was still driving even when he was over 100.
Stop it.
And one of the things he did as a younger man, he used to cycle around. He used to collect stories and anecdotes from people who lived along the roadside or anything like that. So very active mind.
Fabulous. Love it.
So we are the Happy Headers. Like us, subscribe to us, and we'll talk to you soon.